so I thought I'd do a little update on the Alta Redshift now that I have about 300 miles and 17 hours on it. So far the only modifications I've made were these handguards, Cycra ProBend CRM. They worked out pretty well. I wasn't sure at first. You have to use a little extender doohickey there on them because it would hit the brakes. And then swapped out the mirrors for ram mount mirror setup so I could detach them really easily using the adventure style mirrors, which look pretty nice. And that's pretty much it. And I also don't plan on doing too much else. I still haven't even adjusted the suspension really, so I should do that, and I should add a spring to the rear brake so that it has more, it requires more pressure to push down, because it's too easy to lock up and it's hard to have feel with it, especially with large boots. Yeah, so I've had no real problems with the bike. I guess it did stall out once on me, but then I cycled the ignition and it started back up and I never had the problem again. There was a recall on this bike for some firmware in the ECU or some computer component, and I think the primary reason was that people were having faults where if they twisted the ignition or the throttle the wrong way, there would be an ignition fault and then the bike would stall out and you get an error message. I'm not sure if that's what happened to me, because I didn't get an error message or twist the throttle backwards, but whatever. They did the firmware update 2 weekends ago or something, 1 weekend ago, and yeah, so far, I mean, I don't even know what's exactly in the update, but it's still fine, still good. Yeah, I have 310 miles on it or something. Still using the stock tires, and I should have replaced these a while back because the knobs used to be like that high or something, because this thing destroys knobbies on the street. Yeah, but I've been lazy, so I haven't replaced it, and I'm finding that it's still fun in the dirt with these worn out knobs, as long as I'm careful about how I ride. Don't go down some very steep downhill areas with no room to brake or anything. Yeah, I have had no problems at all with the range on this. My primary concern was being able to go riding out for an afternoon here at Metcalf, and mostly doing single track, 90% single track basically. And well, so far I've never gotten it below like 40% remaining on the battery indicator, and then sometimes I'll ride on the street around here too, which burns the charge quite a bit more. Yeah, what else can I say from things I'm looking at on the bike? Still looks great. I haven't actually crashed once on it, or even just fallen down on the dirt, which is sort of amazing. Usually I crash at least like once every time I'm out, or every other time. Maybe I'm not pushing myself fast enough. Yeah, so the one cool thing with the worn out tires is that on the right trails, like I have a very controlled way of initiating a slide on the rear tire and then catching it back up. And that's one thing that's particularly easy on this bike because well, the traction is so smooth, so or the power band, I suppose. Yeah, the power band is so smooth that, and the other thing is that there's no vibrations or sound, so it's easier to be in tune with the bike. But I can start going around a curve, and then if I want to, just for the heck of it, I can just like get on the throttle 5% more because I know where the threshold is. I hear it start sliding out, and I have like a very controlled slide, and can pick it back up when I want to. Can even use it to just do a sharp turn rather than like relying on the brakes to do that. One of the other things with the power and the throttles is it's really easy and fun to do wheelies on the street. Not that I would ever do something like that, but yeah, so I normally on the street am in mode 3. Mode 4 is the fastest mode, but it's I mean I lose traction in mode 1 sometimes, so it's really sketchy. Yeah, but on the street you can do wheelies quite easily. I normally initiate mode 3 like 25 miles per hour, and it's very smooth, so I'm not very good at wheelies, but I've been able to get some much better ones lately. And then the other thing that's really cool about it is, of course, like every single stoplight when you accelerate is fun, but then lately I've been getting better at well, accelerating hard, but then doing it such that I start doing a very smooth wheelie, power wheelie, just raising up gradually with gradual throttle application and then setting it down. It's not some kind of abrupt power wheelie like I'm used to doing. So that has really been fun lately. I may or may not have been doing that at most plates. I'm not sure where I'm going to go riding. This park is empty today. I had to be careful with this. The other thing about this bike, which I think I've said before, is that like all the low speed, really tricky stuff is so much easier. It's like I ride through that and I think to myself, like, how did I ever have any struggle with that? And yet I did. time than my other bikes. God damn. Oh, wrong way. Oh, golly gee. Yeah, that's one thing I suppose I mentioned about this bike. I'll check it up here. Is that the ground clearance is slightly less than I'm used to from my KTM EXE or XCW. That sort of bugs me. The older EX model was like, well, at least the seat height was like 1 inch higher, which I liked. I think the seat height is 37 inches. Just check quickly. Didn't like that sound, but it's probably nothing. I don't have an engine brake to keep the bike still, so it's hard to see. This bike also has the linkage suspension, unlike my KTM's, which is linkageless or whatever. So I have less clearance in that way as well. But that's the first time that I actually really had a noticeable bang into the underside of the bike. It's gonna go up to mode 2 for this. Ooh boy. One thing about this bike is that it's difficult to judge your speed. So a lot of times you're going way faster than I expect because I don't really have the engine noise to beat my speedometer. Yeah, one thing I wanted to mention before that I forgot. Well, actually, two things now that I remember. Once you stop the bike, you gotta be careful to flip it off, especially prior to having the kickstand down. If you're maneuvering it in the garage, it's freaking live, and you accidentally move the throttle and it's gonna crash into a wall. Anyways, yeah, when I took it into the dealer for that firmware update, I guess they did a safety inspection too or something, but I'm pretty sure this stuff is new. Like, they put little red paint splotches on some of the important nuts and such and bolts. They didn't tell me that they were going to do that. It's not really visible to anybody, but I wonder what that's about. Does that just mean that, like, they inspected the torque on them or something? Holy Jesus. That's interesting. So I was sliding just for the hell of it. There we go. I actually got stuck in this exact spot while down that little hill on my 690 once. I was trying to take this trail. Oh, damn it. Okay. Kill switch. No engine braking, so I'll just do it the old-fashioned way. Holy Christ. Oh, that's interesting. It's amazing how every time you fall over or screw something up, you lose so much stamina. I'm not that out of shape that I can't catch my breath after 5 seconds of effort. Yeah, but I got my 690 stuck down there. It was when I was a noob trying this out for the first time. Thankfully 2 guys on 2 strokes saved me, or helped me pull it out. And then I bought a 2-stroke, so Christ almighty. I'm usually not this bad. To be fair, when you're trying to like talk and ride at the same time, you really lose your ability to pay attention to things. And plus the soil is dry and my tire is bald, so those are my excuses. Speaking of excuses, I'm sitting down more often than not on this because my legs are sore, so there. But yeah, so what was I saying? Well, very few people here. I just saw some guy on a trials bike, but besides that, the parking lot is freaking empty. And I mean, it's only like 90 degrees or something. Come on, guys. I don't understand. Like during the prime time and red sticker season, there might be like, well, the parking lot is like almost full sometimes. Like 100 trucks or something, 70 trucks. But it's not that bad, and I don't know. I didn't forget, but I had work and such in the past 2 weekends, so I couldn't ride on the dirt, and I was itching to go back. Okay, maybe I should try to find a faster paced section to ride in, just for contrast. So there's an empty parking lot. The one thing I was thinking about saying was just like, so this bike is, well, it's heavier than I'd like, but it's not, I don't feel the weight at all when I'm doing most things. I know it's sort of cliche to say that you don't feel the weight, but like stuff like this kind of riding or single track and faster pace is fine. Yeah, like any jump is where I feel the weight, but I suppose, to be fair, that could just be that I haven't adjusted the suspension. I know people were complaining about the shocks, something about them.